I'm Killbox, and in this course, I'll be showing you exactly how to start a profitable YouTube channel for your business. And you won't just be learning regurgitated information. Over the last 8 years, I've been doing YouTube full time, earning me collectively over $9 million. And in 1 year alone, I pulled $3 million, all because of the YouTube strategies I'll be revealing in this video. And not only that, but I've created multiple YouTube channels, including Faceless, that collectively has made me over 4 million subscribers. Now, this led me to being featured in Men's Journal, Forbes, and many more. And I personally learned from my mentor, Mr. Beast, in 2016. And now I'll be sharing everything on how to start and scale a successful YouTube channel to build a business through it. I'm gonna break this course down into different sections based on the flow of creating a YouTube channel. I'll be showing you how the algorithm works, how to video ideate, how to make a viral thumbnail, how to create scripts that convert into 6-figure sales per video, how to film your content, whether it's a face or faceless videos, how to edit your videos. I share my $9 million sales funnel and website I used, and so much more. It's safe to say that if you watch this course in its entirety and apply everything that I go over, I have no doubt that you could become a millionaire through YouTube in less than 3 years. That's how long it took me to become one. Okay, so the first part of this course I want to share with you is the opportunity of a lifetime. Right now, YouTube is pushing new and small channels the most to compete with TikTok. So in all of my years of doing YouTube, this has never been a better opportunity for smaller creators. It might feel scary and might feel saturated, but trust me, it's not. To prove it, I want you to go to your YouTube homepage and look at the first 8 videos that are displayed. I guarantee you that about 3 or 4 of them that are recommended to you are uploaded by someone with less than 10,000 subscribers. That means that 40 to 50% of all recommended videos right now is from smaller creators. That's a huge advantage as a beginner. This means that if you apply all of these strategies in this video course correctly, you will be pushed into the algorithm quite literally overnight. So here's an example of a YouTuber who pushed into the algorithm overnight. Look at Neuro Knowledge. He went from 4,000 subscribers to over 130,000 subscribers in less than 30 days. And he sells a mindset coaching program for entrepreneurs. Now, he claims that his business passed over $100,000 in revenue in a single month because of this growth. This is why right now, if you are struggling to believe that your situation couldn't get better, I want you to remember that it can happen literally overnight. This isn't something that will take years. It could be just a matter of a few months of dedicated work. Now, look at William Brown. He has over 60,000 subscribers, all gained in the last year. And I want to play you a short clip of what he said he was able to pull in revenue selling his coaching products with only 700 subscribers.
And in December, I made about $70,000 cash collected. And I had about 700 subscribers on the channel. And then I uploaded that video, and the next month I made $364,000 cash collected, which was fucking crazy.
Did you catch that? He was doing roughly $70,000 a month with just 700 organic YouTube subscribers. You don't need millions of views to make $1 million business on YouTube. You just need a very good product and you need good market fit. Then you need to make content that the algorithm favors and pushes to new viewers. So what does the algorithm favor for a video to be pushed to thousands of people overnight? YouTube prioritizes one thing alone, which is viewer satisfaction. So what does viewer satisfaction mean, you might ask? It means how long someone stays on the platform for, and if they are enjoying the videos they are watching. Because the longer the viewers stay on the platform, the more videos they watch, which means the more ads that they watch, making everyone more money. After all, YouTube is a business, and if you want your content to succeed, you need to make sure your content aligns with YouTube's in-business goals. So there are 3 important metrics YouTube uses to see if you are an ally of their platform versus an enemy. So first, they look at your click-through rate. This means how many people clicked on your video. For example, if you have 100 people who saw your video recommended to them on the homepage, but only 10 of those people clicked on the video, that means you have a 10% click-through rate. The higher, the better. Click-through rate also comes down to your video idea / title and your thumbnail. If we can master these 2, we achieve metric number 1 that YouTube cares about. But the second metric that YouTube cares about matters far more. YouTube cares if people watch all the way through your video. And in most cases, YouTube cares about people watching your video above 70% average viewer percentage. So AVP, also known as average viewer percentage, means how long someone on average watches your video for. Again, the longer people watch the video for, the more YouTube thinks that your video is making people happy. And so that gives you bonus points when they try to push your content further in the algorithm. The third metric YouTube cares about is churn. Churn means, are people watching more of your videos right after, or are they clicking off and never coming back to your channel? If they don't ever come back to your videos, that shows to YouTube that you potentially clickbaited them, and that discourages YouTube to push you more in the algorithm. And I know this is a lot to take in. Believe me, it took me a few years to fully understand all of this, but in this course, I will show you how to make content that aligns with these metrics and shows YouTube that you are an ally not an enemy. Let's begin the YouTube channel creation process with learning how to video ideate first. Here's how to make a killer YouTube video idea to blow up your business. A single video idea could be the difference between getting your big break on YouTube or going completely unnoticed. But how exactly do you create a video idea that gets millions of clicks? What do the top YouTube entrepreneurs know that we don't? To find out, I spent the last 30 days with my team poring over interviews, listening to talks, and analyzing the best performing video ideas from the top creators in the world. I also broke down the formula behind my own viral video ideas I created for successful big name YouTubers that became their top performing videos. And I can say that after 50 plus pages of notes later, I discovered that the best YouTube video ideas follow a 4-part formula. This video will walk you through them all. It all starts with a killer topic. Every viral video idea on YouTube can be broken down into 3 core elements. Topic, which is the subject of the video. Format, which is the type of the video. Angle is the special spice you put on the video. The topic is what the video is about. You can have 2 of the exact same styling of videos, but if the core topic is different, it will get wildly less views. The video on the screen about the man who created the Rolls-Royce car brand got 3.5 million views, while the man who created the Audi brand only obtained 23,000 views. This shows you how nearly the same video idea can get significantly different results simply because of the main subject being talked about in the video. The topic is often based upon if there's enough relevance behind a keyword or subject term. Oftentimes, when I create a video idea, I first ask the question, could this video get 1 million views? If I do not believe I can achieve a certain view count that I want to go for, then I don't even make the video. Now, every single niche is going to be different on how many views you should aim for, because the truth is, some niches like finance or money typically don't reach more than a couple million views. However, other niches like Minecraft will constantly achieve breaking records of above 30 million views. So part of this practice is to first identify what is the average top performing view count for your niche, and then pick that number as your ideal view count goal when coming up with a video idea. Now, this isn't to say that you will hit every single peak amount of views for every single video, but it's to say that if you do your research correctly, you'll at least achieve more views than if you would have never even applied this mindset framework. One way to find your niche's peak amount of views per video is to use the YouTube search bar and search different keywords that relate to your niche. Then find the average top performing view counts on videos to identify what the number is. When creating a viral video idea, you need to validate and find proof that there is success behind it. Most YouTube entrepreneurs either create a random video idea on the top of their head, or they just copy the most successful YouTubers with millions of subscribers. And both methods will result in you achieving 0 views. Well, not literally, but almost literally. Why? Because if you copy an already established YouTuber's video idea, you face a thing called familiarity bias. Familiarity bias is a piece of our brain that naturally is drawn to things we already know and love. For example, the big YouTubers with millions of subscribers will naturally have more people clicking on their videos because people already know that they exist and they already have a connection with them. If you try to copy those people, it won't work because you do not have the previous familiarity and connection with their audience as they do. Let's go ahead and take 2 examples. The first one is Ali Abdaal. Most entrepreneurs will attempt to copy his video ideas due to his subscriber count. They'll assume that every video he posts is a viral hit because, after all, most of his videos are getting an average of 200,000 views, so he must be successful, right? But that could be further from the truth. If you look at his channel, he has 5.8 million subscribers, yet his videos typically get 200,000 views or less, which means that the majority of those viewers are already subscribed to his YouTube channel. They are not new people, meaning if you try and copy his YouTube video ideas as a beginner, it'll get no views because behind the scenes, Ali Abdaal would consider these videos a flop relative to what his occasional successful videos normally get in views. And if you look closely, you'll see only one video over a span of a month that he would say is a good performance video for him. That video was titled How to Slow Down Time, and it got 500,000 views. However, even then, as a beginner YouTuber, it is a risk to emulate that video yourself, as he is at the end of the day very established as a YouTuber, and the familiarity bias might be too strong. Now let's take the second example from a smaller YouTube creator named London Nugs with 62,000 subscribers. By looking at his videos, his average views per video is less than 30,000. However, there is an outlier video that crossed over 1.8 million views. Now, this would be considered a video to emulate, and you can make it for yourself if you are in the make money online niche. Because of the 1.8 million views, only maybe about 30,000 of them are already subscribed to his YouTube channel, and the others are completely new viewers. So how do you find viral video ideas that have evidence that it's a good video while not accidentally copying an already established YouTuber? The first step is to find channels, usually with less than 100,000 subscribers, who achieved an outlier video within the last 12 months. So what's an outlier video, you might ask? An outlier video is when the views on a specific video uploaded by a creator achieved more views per video than any of their average videos. One way to do this is to leverage a tool called 1 of 10. Now, the link will be down in the description. This tool allows you to identify what is an outlier video for channels. I usually model after videos that were published at least 2 weeks ago, but no more than 12 months ago. Now, in order to find a lot of competitor channels, I recommend leveraging 2 ways. The first is the search method. Start by using the YouTube search bar. Search various keywords relating to your niche and filter the search to view count and this year or this month. The second method is the dummy account method. You want to create a second YouTube account just for browsing your niche, because whenever you create a dedicated account to one niche, YouTube will feed you the best relevant and up-to-date content every single day. The goal with this account is to watch competitor videos via homepage, but then go down into a rabbit hole by clicking on suggested videos underneath or on the side of the video that you are currently watching and begin to start a binge cycle. YouTube will then continuously feed you videos in your niche that are outliers. Then you want to leverage the 1 of 10 tool I talked about and try to find outlier videos that gained a 4x and above of what they normally do in views. And yes, I know that this is a lot of work, but the truth is it's going to be more work for you to create a video idea without any strategy, spend 10 hours on it, upload a video only to hear crickets. Top YouTubers spend majority of their time brainstorming the strategy before they ever even go into production. And if you want top YouTuber results, you need to be taking the actions of top YouTubers. Speaking of becoming a top YouTuber subscribe to my channel. So just make sure you do that, you know? Next piece of how to create a killer video idea formula is the format. So the topic of your video is the what, and the format is the how, which equals the base idea. For example, if our topic is making money online, then our formats could be tutorial, challenge, breakdown, commentary, vlog, or interview. Our base idea would then result with how to make money online. I made $10,000 in 30 days. The history of Warren Buffett and his wealth. Ranking every best way to make money online. Day in the life of an online millionaire. Asking internet millionaires how to make money. You see, based on this, a format can completely change the video idea into something different. The tutorial format teaches us how to achieve a desired result. The challenge format gives you an urge to experience something you've never seen before. We click because we want to experience the struggles, the successes, and the surprises of a video. The breakdown format is taking on questions we don't have the answers to, almost like a documentary or advanced deep dives into topics. Doing so creates a curiosity gap. A curiosity gap is the gap between what we currently know and what we want to know. It's one of the most basic drivers of human behavior. As humans, our brains are wired to crave closure. When we're introduced to an unfinished story or a question without an answer, it's like having an itch that we very want to scratch. And our brains literally go, wow, I could really use some closure right now, which pushes us to seek out the answers by clicking on the video. In almost all of these formats, the goal is to create a curiosity gap. You could also use the format commentary, which gives us personal opinions, reactions, or perspectives on a topic. And we typically click on these videos because we value the perspective provided from someone we already know or someone with credibility of a unique point of view. Or sometimes we just click on it because we want to hear all that spicy drama. For example, I started a YouTube channel centered on the rap and hip hop world, talking about the drama surrounding famous rappers. That one channel made me over $600,000, and I mainly dedicated myself to the commentary format. The vlog format is adventures or reflections to connect on a personal level. This typically is videos of someone living a life that we want to live through or experience. For example, a guy named Daniel Dalen, who blew up on YouTube, documents his life as an 8-figure entrepreneur building a business in China. Now, people watch him because they want to see what it's like to be in his shoes. The interview format is where people share an insight or a long-form conversation from an expert that we trust in a field and want to learn more from. We click to hear in-depth, personal, or exclusive information that we can't get elsewhere. Now, taking everything that I just covered and picking just one of these formats alone will not get you results, because YouTube is flooded with content, and if people see a big bigger YouTuber uploaded a video and next to it is your video being recommended, who do you think that they are likely to click on and watch first if you have the exact same video idea? Exactly. They're more likely to pick the bigger YouTuber. This is why we need to follow all of these strategies up with what I call the remarkability factor. What we want to do as a YouTube entrepreneur is create a piece of content that not only brings us views and sales, but turns us into a brand that is unique in the vast library of YouTube videos. That's why on YouTube, you either need to be significantly better or significantly different. Now, significantly better is really hard to do. You have to take a working concept and find a way to either make a better video edit than them, provide a better point of view, or step it up in the notch in the delivery. For example, if you wanted to step up the game of Mr. Beast, you'd have to probably spend more than $500,000 on one video. And we all know none of us have that type of money just sitting around to burn. But that's why most people opt for the significantly different route. This route is where you can combine formats to create your own original series or style in your niche. For example, the channel Hot Ones combines the interview format by interviewing well-known celebrities with the challenge format of eating hot wings. Now, for you to identify your personal format combo, here's a little template you could follow. If you want to connect, do a vlog or commentary format. If you want to educate, combine a tutorial and breakdown format. The other way you could identify different formats and combos that fits you is simply look at your competitors in your niche and see what they are doing based on the formats I listed. The next piece of creating a killer video idea is the angle. Look at the angle as the spice of your video. It's the seasoning. Let's look at this example. If we take the topic make money online with the format tutorial, the base idea would come out as how to make money online. But this title is just super plain and boring. We need to spice it up in order for it to perform. So how do we do that? We leverage an angle. When we leverage an angle, we get video titles like this. I interviewed the richest man in the world. I gave myself 30 days to make $10,000 a month. I risked $100,000 to build a 7-figure business, and so many more. There's 8 major angles that you can leverage for your next viral video idea that will finally get you the sales and business you've been wanting from YouTube. The first one is the stakes angle. And no, I don't mean stakes as in cow. That's not what I mean. The stakes angle is when there's a huge risk, reward, or suspense in the title. The money angle is when you share how much you made from something, how much you can win from something, or how much you spent on an item. The time angle is putting a deadline on when to achieve something. This puts a level of challenge or what was the result curiosity gap question that causes people to click. The comprehensive angle is when you cover every single detail about a topic, like using titles I stayed at every hotel, showing that you did a lot of research that nobody else has done. The list angle is a top 10 of some sort, like top 7 side hustles in 2024 or top 100 places to visit. The familiarity angle is leveraging the familiarity bias by putting a famous person, brand name, or object as the center of the video idea, breakdowns of well-known figures, and more. When I worked for Preston with over 20 million subscribers, I helped brainstorm this video idea that still to this day is one of his most popular videos. Unspeakable trapped my wife and me in a giant bubble tent. When I was brainstorming this idea with the team, I knew we wanted to leverage the familiarity bias angle. So we called up Preston's famous friend, Unspeakable, who at the time was the fastest growing Minecraft YouTuber. So putting his name and face in the video, we knew would be an instant hit. The comparison angle is when you show off a comparison of some sort, like Mr. Beast's infamous $1 versus $100 million house video. A transformation angle is when you show a before and after video, like a personal success from being broke to being a multi-millionaire. And there's so many more angles on YouTube, but these are the main ones. Not every angle will fit your brand, but find the ones that do and create a killer video idea that generates you more sales for your business. The most important step of the 4-part formula of creating a killer video idea is a killer test checklist. Every top YouTuber follows this checklist when ensuring a video idea is worth pursuing. The first question you got to ask is this idea feasible? Can we execute on it? If a video idea requires $1 million, then it may not be feasible for us, unless I guess you got millions of dollars sitting around. New audience interest. If someone had no idea who you were, would they click and still be interested? Existing audience interest. Will this idea be interesting to at least 80% of my current audience? If our core audience doesn't like it, then it'll hurt the initial performance of the video, which means reaching a new audience may become difficult. View potential. Does it have the potential to hit my goal view amounts? Brand alignment. Does this idea fit within the brand of my channel? Make sure you never abandon your mission of your YouTube channel. For example, I have a client who's in the Bible niche on YouTube. And as we started to come up with video ideas, we noticed a lot of competitors would fearmonger about the end times coming. And this isn't what my client wanted for his brand and didn't align with the mission of telling good, heartfelt stories about the Bible and how it can be applied to the everyday person's life. So that's an example of how a video idea might get lots of views, but at the cost of our mission. Next is the title and thumbnail fit. Can you come up with a strong enough title and thumbnail for this idea? If not, you need to scrap the video idea altogether. This is why people like Mr. Beast claims he creates over 30 illustrations for thumbnails before he makes a video, because he wants to ensure he can visualize a very clickable thumbnail and title. Now, if you want to learn how to create a viral thumbnail, you want to check out my channel after this video to watch my tutorial on it. Now, what we need to do is create an idea shortlist. An idea shortlist is where you put as many viral video ideas that meet the checklist I talked about previously into a list that you can then run a rating system on as the final test. The rating system goes like this. You rate from a 1 to a 10 on these 3 factors. How excited are you feeling about it? How much effort will it take? And the confidence level, how many got success doing this? Now, after rating on each of these scales, you then want to go into production on the video idea that fits the mood you are currently in. For example, if you are burnt out or tired, go for the video idea with the least effort needed. If you are looking for a viral hit as soon as possible, go for the thing that is rated with the most confidence level. If you are craving a spark of inspiration, go for the highest rating video idea on how excited you feel about something. So we covered a lot on how the pros find viral video ideas. Here's what you need to remember though. Validate base topics. Choose the format mix that best enables the value you want to provide for your viewers. Add angles to elevate interest and spice. Run through your testing checklist. But one thing that I want you to know before you click off and watch all my other tutorial videos on this channel, I've been doing YouTube for almost a decade now. And I've gained millions of subscribers across multiple YouTube channels and worked with some of the biggest YouTube stars. And I can tell you a warning that I learned after meeting them and having an intimate conversation with them. Sometimes YouTube can become too systematized. It can be too much of a formula that we lose focus on what matters at the end of the day, which is our soul and our passion. You see, sometimes it's worth it to take a risk and make a video idea that barely follows any of the formulas that I mentioned today. Because even if that video doesn't perform well, sometimes you need to let your creativity show so that it helps you to not lose drive in this game of YouTube. The goal at the end of the day as a YouTube entrepreneur is to be free, scale our business further, and impact the lives that we make content for. And if we don't give ourselves permission from time to time to let our creative juices try new things, we'll become robots and burn out. So go out there, crush YouTube, get more sales for your business, and build something meaningful to you. Here's how to make a killer YouTube thumbnail to go viral as an entrepreneur. A single thumbnail could be the difference between getting your big break on YouTube and going completely unnoticed. As Mr. Beast has said,
people don't click, they don't watch.
But how exactly do you get someone to click? What do the top YouTube entrepreneurs know that we don't? To find out, I spent the last 30 days with my team poring over interviews, listening to talks, and analyzing the best performing thumbnails from the top creators in the world. 52 pages of notes later, I discovered that the best YouTube thumbnails follow a 4-part formula. This video will walk you through them all. The first part is the one that's by far the most important and yet also the most overlooked by all YouTube entrepreneurs trying to get their big break. So where most of us go wrong is in the time we dedicate to our thumbnails. The top YouTube entrepreneurs know that YouTube is a game of clicks and watches. The success of a video is determined in part by the effectiveness of the packaging, which drives clicks, and in part by the video itself, which drives watch time. You see, most of us spend countless hours agonizing over scripts, capturing the best shots, editing our videos to perfection, only to come up with a thumbnail an hour before the video goes live. If that sounds like you, don't worry, you're not alone. That's something that even I sometimes find myself doing. But here's a question for you. Why would you spend 10% of your time on something that determines 50% of the result? That's why part 1 of creating a killer YouTube thumbnail is killer time allocation. The best YouTubers in the world view thumbnails as a priority, not as an afterthought. While most of us don't even start thinking about thumbnails until right before we hit publish, top YouTubers take time to finalize their thumbnails first, before they even start working on the video itself. So don't be afraid to spend days or even weeks perfecting your thumbnail. It's worth taking the time to get it right. And once you're prepared to give your thumbnail the time it deserves, then you're ready to move on to part 2 of this formula. To make a killer YouTube thumbnail to blow up your channel, you need to understand psychology. When most of us go into thumbnail creation, our process might look something like this. I need a thumbnail. There should be some images or icons related to my video topic. I should throw some text in there and emphasize some points. I should probably be in it. Now, this is the default approach. We spend the majority of our time finalizing the colors, positioning, and the text, but our process couldn't be more wrong. While we're spending most of our time on thumbnail design, the most successful YouTubers spend the majority of their time nailing the psychology behind the click. And recently, Patty Galloway, a YouTube consultant for MrBeast, Ryan Trahan, and more, confirmed the exact same thing.
A thumbnail to me is at least 80, maybe 90% the psychology of the click, and then maybe 10, 20% the actual design of the thumbnail.
Because no matter the formatting or color scheme of a thumbnail, the decision to click is driven by one psychological mechanism: curiosity. It's more specifically a curiosity gap. It's the gap between what we currently know and what we want to know. It's one of the most basic drivers of human behavior. As humans, our brains are wired to crave closure. When we're introduced to an unfinished story or a question without an answer, it's like having an itch that we very much want to scratch. Our brains literally go, wow, I could really use some closure right now, which pushes us to seek out the answers by clicking on the video. Now, to see this in action, let's take a look at this thumbnail from Outdoor Boys. Design-wise, this thumbnail is relatively simple. There are no crazy halos of lights or detailed illustrations. What makes this such a clickable thumbnail is it's Luke out in the middle of nowhere, cold winter Alaska with a tent. These elements work together to evoke the questions: what led up to this moment? And what's about to happen next? Can he survive in the cold without modern technology? These questions open a curiosity gap, and that gap is only closed by clicking on the video and watching it. The stronger the curiosity gap, the more clickable the thumbnail. And the strongest curiosity gaps on YouTube are created using one of the same 4 methods. Story thumbnails generate curiosity by provoking the question, what happens next? Instead of focusing on a specific moment before a reaction, story thumbnails place the emphasis on building narrative. They usually do this by introducing a point of tension or a question that sets up the first act of the story. And we click on the video both for the resolution of the tension on screen and for whatever new tension or consequence that resolution leads to. The stronger the tension, the more effective the thumbnail. Moment thumbnails generate curiosity by offering a glimpse into the moment right before a powerful reaction. When the moment captured contains enough emotion and tension, it becomes nearly irresistible. We're clicking to find out what happens directly before, during, and after that exact moment. Result thumbnails. It features a desired result, whether it's a physical final product or a sought-after skill. The curiosity gap remains the same. How did they do it? And commonly, how can I do it too? The more sought after the results, the stronger the curiosity gap and the more effective the thumbnail. Transformation thumbnails. It features a desired result, but also show a beginning state. The more relatable this beginning state, the more effective transformation thumbnails are, with the curiosity coming from the desire to know the story and process behind getting from point A to point B. Now, before you even think about opening Photoshop or Canva, start by defining the curiosity gap you want to create. Ask yourself, what burning questions can you pose that your audience will feel compelled to find answers to? And if you're struggling to pinpoint a strong curiosity gap, here's the hard truth. Your video idea might not be as compelling enough as you even think. The reality is that the most effective YouTube thumbnails stem from a standout video idea. And developing a killer video idea is a topic so extensive that it deserves its own video, which I'm going to drop on this channel very soon. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, as I'm going to be giving free tutorials as in depth as I possibly can about YouTube through my decade of experience. But after you're 90% confident that you have a curiosity gap, you have the foundation now for your killer thumbnail to then go viral. But in order for someone to get hooked by your killer curiosity gap, they have to notice it in the first place. Because as soon as we log onto YouTube, we're hit with a screen full of different recommendations, each one trying for our attention. And as we're browsing through our recommendations, often our brains are on autopilot. We scroll past countless thumbnails that we don't even mentally register. So to avoid their thumbnails being lost in the noise, the best YouTube entrepreneurs in the world are masters at pattern interruption. They know exactly what to include in their thumbnails to stop the scroll, because they know how to hack our brain's filter system. You see, our brain is a filter system. It filters out noise to try to find something that stands out just by nature. But this filter system can be hacked with the right formula. A classic example is the use of faces. You've probably heard the advice that faces do well in thumbnails. And yes, Our brains are very good at recognizing faces because it helps us understand other people's emotions and intentions, which can in turn signal a potential threat or opportunity. The larger the face, the stronger this effect. But before you go slapping a giant picture of your face to the left side of each of your thumbnails, you need to keep in mind that faces are quite a bit more effective for your favorite YouTubers than they are for you. And it's due to a thing called familiarity bias, which is the idea that our brains are naturally drawn to what we're familiar with. When we recognize the face of a YouTuber we already know, like, and trust, we're more likely to click on it versus a thumbnail featuring a face that we don't recognize. Now, this doesn't mean that if you're a new or small YouTuber, you're completely screwed. In fact, familiarity bias is something that we can actually hack for ourselves. I mean, that's the logic behind the thumbnail style of charisma on command. People are more likely to stop their scroll when they see a celebrity they recognize versus the face of a random guy they just don't know. Familiarity bias is also so powerful that it extends beyond faces as well. That's one of the reasons why thumbnails featuring instantly recognizable interfaces such as Discord, iMessage, Yelp, PayPal, and others are so eye-catching. In fact, I use this familiarity bias in most of my thumbnails on my other YouTube channels that I run. I have over 4 million subscribers across multiple YouTube channels, and one of them being Rap Hive. Now, Rap Hive makes dedicated videos talking about famous rappers and the rumors about them. I tried the familiarity bias on one of my videos titled Key Glock Reveals Truth About Young Dolph Passing. And the result, it got me 2.5 million views and $26,000 in ad revenue alone from just one video. Now, this isn't to say that you should never include your face in a thumbnail if you're a lesser known YouTuber. Our natural attraction to faces is still powerful, even if they're unfamiliar. But if you are a smaller YouTuber hoping to attract a larger audience, you shouldn't fully rely on your face alone to stop a scroll. Instead, you should consider using one or more of these other scroll stoppers. In general, we're attracted to nice large round numbers, and these clickable numbers become even more clickable when the money is attached to it. Something finance channels tend to use them to their advantage. In fact, money in any form tends to stop our scroll. We're also naturally wired to detect danger and movement, as they often signal a new threat or opportunity in our environment. And similar to that, we're drawn to displays of emotion because an emotional reaction in others can signal a threat that we haven't detected ourselves yet. We are biologically attracted to bright colors, which in the early days of human existence could help us identify everything from ripening fruit to fresh blood. And we're also drawn to things that are aesthetically pleasing because they feel really nice to look at. But while it might be tempting to jam as many scroll stoppers as you possibly can into your thumbnail, that could actually end up hurting your thumbnail rather than helping. Because the more scroll stoppers that your thumbnail has, the more diluted your brand gets. And that's one of the reasons why Ryan Trahan goes for more realistic looking faces in his thumbnails.
And I found that realistic thumbnails just feel like me. It feels like, yeah, if my face is not like, then I feel more connected to the thumbnail. If I'm just making a very subtle face that's like, because it's realistic and I'm like, oh, that's legit.
So before you throw everything I said into your thumbnail, consider the brand you want to build and the story you want to tell. Not every scroll stopper will fit for every single YouTuber, and the audience is very different for everyone. And that's okay. Just because one or two may not work doesn't mean a few others won't. You have to figure out which scroll stopper applies to you. Now, to transform that well thought out psychology into an effective thumbnail, we need to prioritize a killer design. Contrary to common belief that design means adding more elements, true design is about communicating the main idea as quickly as possible. This is crucial, because if a viewer takes longer than 2 seconds to understand your thumbnail, they're likely to scroll past and your video will go unnoticed. So to avoid this, top YouTubers obsess over making their thumbnails extremely obvious to see and incredibly easy to process. And to do that, they perfect the 3 C's of thumbnail design. Contents is the content of your thumbnail. They are all of the visual elements that make up your thumbnail, including people, icons, graphics, backgrounds, and text. Essentially, it's the what of your thumbnail. You should include whatever you need to create your curiosity gap. Typically, these elements are broken into 2 categories: main characters and supporting characters. The main character is the single element that best contributes to the curiosity gap. This is the hero or focal point of the thumbnail. For a result thumbnail, it's the result. For a story thumbnail, it's the main character or driver of the story, and so on. Supporting characters. Every other element exists to support the main character and creating the curiosity gap, either by providing necessary context, drawing attention, or adding additional curiosity. Composition. The composition is the arrangement and the placement of elements in your thumbnail. Most high-performing thumbnails follow one of two alignments. Symmetrical thumbnails place their main character in the center with the left side of the thumbnail closely resembling the right side. Asymmetrical thumbnails follow the rule of thirds, placing their main character on the left or right third of the thumbnail. But it's not just the placement of the main character that matters. Supporting characters and backgrounds can also be used to direct attention. When placed properly, natural lines in the background can become leading lines, subtly drawing our eyes to the main character. Of course, the classic red arrow or circle helps to literally point out what we should be looking at. Another form of composition is following the 3-element rule. The goal with this rule is you do not want to clutter your thumbnails. So you only select 3 main key elements that you want to emphasize and show in the video thumbnail. The 3-element rule, in the case of Airrack's video titled Never Have I Ever IRL, shows the first element being Airrack, the second element being the line biting his hand, and the third element being the I have never sign. Now, the goal with the 3-element rule is to either have exactly 3 elements or less than 3 elements in your thumbnail. So that way, with a glance, people can comprehend what is happening. Another piece of composition is that sometimes top YouTubers will deliberately shift some focus away from the main character to highlight a supporting character. Now, this approach is often used when the supporting character serves as a reference to emphasize a distinctive trait of the main character, like size. Now, in these situations, top YouTubers are careful to maintain the right visual hierarchy in their thumbnails, ensuring that the main character remains the focal point and isn't overshadowed by supporting characters. This hierarchy can be achieved through scale. The main character is significantly larger than any other element. Blur, the main character is in focus while the other elements are blurred. Or depth, the main character is the element closest to the camera. Text in thumbnails is tricky. In some thumbnails, text is a necessary supporting character, adding critical context, clarity, or curiosity. In others, text only serves as to add clutter and ruin your thumbnail. If you're struggling with text, here are some pointers. Text should only be used if it's an additive to the story the thumbnail is trying to tell. For example, it can show scope or intensity by saying $0 to 1 million. It can add context, giving viewers insight into things that they may not even know, or add clarity to things that might not be so obvious. It can serve as a source of curiosity, acting like a subheading. The goal is to keep text legible. The human brain can process an image in as little as 13 milliseconds, but it takes much longer to process text. Unless the text is big, flashy number, or a dollar sign, you do not want to rely on it to draw in viewers. You also want to avoid repetition. Your text should never just repeat your title. Remember, we're going for additive, not just repetitive. The next thing you want to do is optimize for readability. This means keeping text to a maximum of 5 words. You want to avoid it looking like a block of text. You also want to use language your audience can easily understand, selecting a font also that they can easily read. Typically, this means sans serif fonts with outlines and shadows, unless you're going for a specific brand or vibe. You need to remember to maintain hierarchy. Ensure your text is never higher in the element than your main character. In the example of Binging with Babish thumbnail, it's a clear, compelling result thumbnail that looks delicious. But if the text becomes too dominant, it would distract from the main character. But positioning by itself isn't sufficient. Even a perfectly arranged thumbnail can fall flat if it lacks one essential element: contrast. And not just any kind of contrast. When we describe a thumbnail as popping, we're actually referring to its effective use of contrast. When done right, contrast can grab attention immediately and direct the viewer's eye straight to the most important part of the thumbnail. Colors have 3 values: hue, saturation, and lightness. Contrast can be created using each of these values. Saturation contrast comes from mixing areas of high saturation with areas of low saturation. For example, in Ryan Tran's iconic I Survived the World's Loudest Room thumbnail, the main character, Ryan himself, stands out in a full saturation against a grayscale background. Hue contrast comes from using complementary colors. Colors typically opposite of each other from the color wheel. For example, in the thumbnail for Mr. Beast, the color of the raft contrasts with the color of the water, making it stand out. If his raft was a different color, it wouldn't stand out as much. Now, I will have to give out a word of caution though about thumbnails. Sometimes there are videos that go viral with thumbnails that leverage barely any color strategy at all. To the inexperienced eye, you might think that there's no strategy behind it, but to a top YouTuber, there's more strategy than you can think. One example being Neuro Knowledge, who gained over 150,000 subscribers in just 30 days. I want you to look at his styling of thumbnails. You see a black man with a matrix looking shades and a tank top talking about manifestation. Now, the reason why his channel blew up so fast was because of this simple thumbnail strategy. He leveraged a thing called brand appearance. A brand appearance thumbnail is when the individual in the thumbnail is so mystical or odd compared to most individuals that just completely stands out of the crowd. Now, at first glance, you assume Nero is a wannabe guru and has zero intelligence, so you originally click to laugh at the guy. But the moment you hear him speak, he sounds articulate and knows what he is talking about.
I'm here to show you that the true game is by being able to first align yourself to the mental attitude of what you want, and then take action.
This turns you from a skeptic to a fan very quickly. Another example of this in action is Creek Wrangler School. It's an older country man who gives the grandpa wise vibe. His viral video titled "When You Just Ain't Got It All Together" went viral not because of some crazy colors or very strategic thinking, but simply because of his appearance coming off as a wise older man who you can learn from. Now imagine if I personally try to copy this guy. It would not go viral at all because I'm a young dude who, from first glance, the average person wouldn't even come to me for life advice like that. So sometimes your age and personal appearance has a huge factor to getting attention on a thumbnail, and you should try to leverage that as much as you can with the personal traits that you inherited in this world. Now, to ensure your thumbnail is ready, the best YouTube entrepreneurs in the world run their finished thumbnails through a series of 3 tests. The clarity test. You want to make sure that your thumbnail makes sense at any size. Use a preview tool like ClickPilot to see how your thumbnail looks in the suggested panel view. Contrast test. Verify that your thumbnail stands out in a crowd. Add a few channels that your viewers are also watching and see if your thumbnail interrupts the pattern. Can it stop the scroll? The glance test is show your thumbnail to someone for 2 seconds and ask them what they saw. If they can't fully understand what's going on, your thumbnail just isn't clear enough. Despite being so intentional about every component of their thumbnail, the best YouTube entrepreneurs in the world have one final secret that they have to make in order to create a killer thumbnail. They make 3 variations of their thumbnails. They have it ready to swap in at a moment's notice if the initial thumbnail underperforms. These variations aren't just as simple changes like maybe changing a t-shirt color. Instead, they go back to the very beginning sometimes and consider different curiosity gaps, scroll stoppers, elements, compositions, and types of contrast to make a different variation. To determine when it's time to swap a thumbnail, closely monitor your video's views, impressions, and click-through rate. You have to do all of this within the first few hours after publishing. If your views, impressions, and CTR are above average, you're good to go. If your views and impressions are high, but your CTR is low, this usually means YouTube is pushing your video to people outside of your core audience. If your views, impressions, CTR are all below average, it's worth swapping to a different thumbnail variation. Now, we've covered a lot about making a killer thumbnail as a YouTube entrepreneur to get more sales and views for your brand. Thumbnails are incredibly important to achieve this goal. Remember, you want to give viewers a reason to click. You want to make your thumbnails obvious to see and easy to understand. You want to make sure you pass all of your tests. Even though the next thumbnail you make may not be perfect, you want to keep going and keep improving. YouTube channels tend to grow a little bit at a time and then all at once overnight. If you keep at it, your big break will eventually come. Here's how to make a killer YouTube script to blow up your business. A single script could be the difference between getting your big break on YouTube or going completely unnoticed. But how exactly do you create a video script that not only the YouTube algorithm favors, but turns viewers into millions of dollars? What do the top YouTube entrepreneurs know that we don't? To find out, I spent the last 30 days with my team poring over interviews, listening to talks, and analyzing the best performing scripts from the top creators in the world. I also broke down the formula behind my clients and I's viral video scripts that brought me millions in revenue. And I can say that after 70+ pages of notes later, I discovered that the best YouTube scripts follow a 5-part formula. This video will walk you through them all. The first part of the formula is overlooked by most beginners. Most beginners start making their YouTube video by picking a topic that they have not done enough research on, and immediately they start filming the video. When they then start to film, they find themselves going mostly on the top of their head with barely any structure. They don't realize that by rushing the research process and not doing preparation beforehand, they are filming a video that the audience can clearly see you just did not try hard enough on. This causes people to click off the video if they feel they are not getting the value that they wanted fast enough. Alex Hormozi, a successful entrepreneur and YouTuber, claims that on some of his videos, he will spend over 4 weeks just planning and scripting the video. And Alex Hormozi's results proves that this mindset has worked well for him. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Well, Caleb, I see some channels go viral and they don't seem to be using a script. How do they do it? And yes, that's a fair point, but if you look closer, you'll find out a secret tactic that these YouTubers use that you just don't notice. If you take a look at Charlie Morgan, for example, who some will claim his videos do not seem scripted, you'll see that he uses a whiteboard to explain his points about business. But what you don't realize is that Charlie used a bullet point script and memorized it so well that it looks like he's talking from the top of his head. But in reality, he scripted and planned out what he was going to draw ahead of time in his videos. The same goes for Neuro Knowledge. Neuro gained over 150,000 subscribers in just 30 days. He tries the exact same strategy as Charlie Morgan. It doesn't seem like he scripted much, but in reality, he scripted the entire video with bullet points on what he was going to cover. The whole point of their videos is to create the illusion that they are not using a script and that they are so naturally gifted at speaking about complex business problems that it positions them in your mind as a knowledgeable expert and leader in their niche. This is why it's so important to do as much research and scripting as you can when making a YouTube video. You need to be watching every single successful video around the topic that you are going to make a video about and jot down notes of what they cover in their video. This will help you write a script that covers all the key points on your topic and makes you look like an expert or the best creator of that topic. Now, of course, there are some channels that are anomalies and go viral not having a script, but I would argue that most of them are following the 5-part formula I'm about to show you without even realizing it. Now, this next piece of the research formula you need in order for the previous one to make sense. If we are going to research our competitors to see what has worked in the past, we need to know what specifically to pay attention to out of their video that tells us what works and what doesn't. So for us to know this, we have to understand what YouTube as a platform cares about when ranking a YouTube video. Above all, YouTube cares about viewer satisfaction. So viewer satisfaction means how do people feel and what did they do after watching your video. YouTube uses metrics like how long have they watched your video for? Did they like your video? Did they leave comments? Did they click on another video of yours after? Did they share your video with their friends? These different small metrics added together start to stack up into your favor. So in order for us to take this information and see what competitors did that achieved these metrics for them, we need to break down our initial research into 4 components. First is views. For this one to make sense, I want to give you an analogy. If you were someone wanting to learn how to swim and you were researching to find a good swim coach to learn from, would you pick someone who visually you can see swim in the water without even trying? Or would you pick someone who every single time they hit the water, they somehow end up drowning? Now, obviously you're gonna pick the person who's proficient at swimming to learn from, but that's my point. Most YouTube entrepreneurs start their research process by picking videos to emulate that have 0 to no views at all. And that's the worst way to do it. When I'm looking at videos I should emulate and learn from, I need to make sure that I'm learning from a video that performed well in the first place. So I specifically learn from videos that have a huge amount of views for the topic. Second is hook. With short form platforms like TikTok and now YouTube Shorts, everyone's attention spans are getting less and less each day. Back in the day, you would have 10 seconds to grab someone's attention, but in today's content world, you have less than 5 seconds. This is why the next piece of research I do on a competitor's video is I study what they say or do in the first 5 to 30 seconds that grabs my attention. Now, I'll cover more later in this video on how to write a hook in your script, but for now, keep this in the back of your mind when you're researching competitor scripts. Third is comments. Probably one of the most underrated things you can do in the research process is study competitors' comment sections. In the comments, people will tell you what they like or don't like about the video. They will also give you an idea of who the person is that you'll be speaking directly to when making your video. This helps us to identify common struggles, age, demographic, or dreams that these people have that we can later leverage in our scripts. I'll dive deeper into this part later in the video. Fourth is outro. You know how I mentioned previously that the YouTube algorithm favors videos that lead people to watch more of your videos, right? Well, in the outro of your competitors' videos, see how they ended off the video. Did they lead people to subscribe or watch another video? If so, then that might be a telling sign that they leverage that one important metric to help grow their video faster, which means you may want to do that too. And I'll cover later in this video an outro formula that made me multiple 6 figures. Now that you know the 4 major components of what to study from your competitors, now let's dive into identifying what type of script you should be writing. There's 4 major types of scripts. The first script type is a bullet point script. It looks something like this. This script type is good for you if you are coherent on camera and you don't go off topic rambling for too long. Your content niche is less formal and more conversational in nature, you have a good memory and can remember the key points you want to cover without a full word-for-word script, your video is relatively short and doesn't require a complex narrative or structure. The next script type is a word-for-word script, which usually looks like something like this. Alex Hormozzi, a successful entrepreneur and YouTuber, claims that on some of his videos, he will spend over 4 weeks just planning and scripting the video. Now, this script type is good for you if you want to ensure that you cover all necessary information and don't forget any important points. You have a tendency to ramble or go off topic when speaking without a script. You are not confident in your ability to speak off the cuff or improvise effectively. You need to include specific data or quotes, and you want to practice and refine your delivery before recording. Now, if you do a word-for-word script, you need to use a teleprompter or a teleprompter app. I personally use the Elgato prompter, which doubles down as a monitor for my computer on top of being able to read a script while still maintaining eye contact with the camera. If you don't have a huge budget, you can download different types of teleprompter apps on your mobile phone and use your phone to film your videos. The next script type is a slideshow script. This one looks something like this.
So here's my promise to you guys today. I can show you how to get strangers to want to buy your stuff. And I want to be clear.
It's a good script for you if you are doing longer length training or a webinar style of a video, or you just don't have time to edit a video or have a team member to edit the videos for you. The other script type is a flowchart script. It usually looks like something like this.
You can see here is, in order for this process to work and for me to make money and profit down here and put money into my bank.
Charlie Morgan is known for using flowchart scripts in his videos. This script type is good for you if you're trying to illustrate a workflow or strategy to something that requires visuals to better understand it. It's typically business-related videos or very complex topics I see that use this script type. Now, from personal experience, I've found that the best scripts I've done are word for word because, yes, it does take a lot of preparation time, but after the scripting process is over, everything else is significantly easier and faster in production time. If you don't have a lot of time, I recommend combining the word-for-word script with bullet points. For example, I would script the first 30 seconds of the video word for word, and then the rest would be bullet points. So it would look something like this. This ensures you grab the viewer's attention early in the video to make them keep watching, but then saves you the preparation time by having a bullet point script later in the video. Now, when I'm trying to study a competitor's script and why it performs so well, sometimes it's best to put the video into a Word document so you can easily analyze the text on the screen. This is the step-by-step formula that I do in order to do this. So first you want to go to a YouTube video and then go to the description of their video. You want to click on the button that says Show Transcript. Then go to the 3 dots and click Toggle Timestamps. Then take all of that text on the screen and copy it. You then want to go to ChatGPT and insert this prompt. I have a competitor YouTube script and I want you to reformat it for me to easily read it. Do not remove any words from it. I need the full text to remain. I just need it reformatted so I can read it better instead of a block of text. Let me know when you are ready for me to send it. Once ChatGPT responds saying to send the word for word text, simply paste the text and hit send. ChatGPT will now reformat all of this text for you so you can then copy that text and put it into a Google Doc to easily read your competitor's script. This now allows us to analyze what the competitor did well in their video, and our goal with time is to notice patterns across multiple competitor scripts to see what they all have in common. Another pro tip with ChatGPT is you can now ask it questions like, what are some common struggles or pain points the competitor called out in this script, and who is the competitor speaking to / what type of demographics? And then you get a list of pain points and struggles and information about demographics that your competitors are trying to call out that you can then later use when writing your script. And if you want to be successful on YouTube, you need to study already successful creators and emulate them, but make it better. The second part to our 5-part formula to creating a killer script to blow up your business is a killer hook, also known as the first 30 seconds of your video. When you start writing your hook, most people start with a sentence like, hey guys, welcome back to another video. But that right there is wasted time and will lead people to clicking off your video. People want the value that they clicked for as fast as possible. This is why the first principle to creating a killer hook is validating the click of the video. Typically, this is when you repeat the title of the video and the first line of the script, or you visually show people what they clicked for. Here's an example from Behiza titled My Simple $5,000 a Day Stock Trading Strategy.
I just made $5,000 this morning with a stock trading strategy that I want to explain in this video. Well, it was actually a couple mornings ago, but the morning of this screen recording. I've been consistently using it for the last year or so, but this particular trade is just so clean and simple that it's the perfect example to explain it.
You notice how within the first 3 seconds, he said the keywords that are in the title? Did you also notice that Bahiza purposefully showed his phone with the earnings validating the $5,000 made and the ka-ching sound effect? This is the perfect example of validating the click, both verbally and visually, making people know that what you will show them is not clickbait and you are getting straight to the point. When I look at where my time should go creating a script, 30% of my energy is literally perfecting the first 3 seconds of the video. Because with YouTube, if I can hook people in for 30 seconds, dramatically the rest of the video's retention increases, which shows YouTube that my video is valuable and worth promoting to more people. There's no point in working so hard on the middle or the end of your video if the majority of people will never even see that part of the video because you failed at getting their attention in the first place at that 30-second mark. Now, there's 3 things you should avoid when writing hook. The first is babble. You want to be concise and straight to the point. The second is jargon. Don't use words that only experienced people in your niche would understand. Words like ROAS, which means return on ad spend, would throw the majority of people off. Third is credentials. You don't want to be too excessive with showing off your credentials in your videos, like your client results or personal achievements. It shouldn't come off like you are trying to sell yourself so hard to the viewer. Give them enough info that you are a credible person, but not too much that it becomes distracting and too long. And if you don't have credibility personally yet, you can do what I did at the very beginning of this video, for example, and I said, hey, I went through 70 pages plus of notes and studied all the top people and top creators to see what they did. And that gives you credibility because you're taking someone else's credibility and applying it to your video. So little tip for you. The next piece of creating a killer hook is calling out the viewer's pain points. A pain point is a struggle or issue that the viewer you are speaking to is going through in their everyday life and wants to resolve. If you're a finance channel, this could be the pain point of being broke and wanting to achieve financial freedom. A great pain point hook that Iman Gadzhi pulled off in his "Do This to Make $10,000 as a Student" video was the following.
Ladies and gentlemen, absolutely everyone wants to know how to make $10,000 a month as a student. The only issue is there's a lot of BS out there. There's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of people making it seem a lot easier than it actually is.
Did you catch it? The hook was, everyone wants to know how to make $10,000 a month as a student. This part validated the click for the title. But then he followed it up with this sentence saying, the only issue is there's a lot of BS out there and there's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of people making it seem a lot easier than it actually is. This right here is the pain point. He's targeting his demographic, which is young students who feel lost and overwhelmed with all of the make money online videos on YouTube, feeling like they are being lied to. This not only validates the click, but it hits their pain point, which then causes them to keep watching through the quick introduction and the main part of the video because they want to resolve their pain points so badly. Remember the ChatGPT instructions that I showed you earlier in the video to identify your audience's pain points? Well, this is where you will use that information to your advantage and insert the top pain point into your hook. Now, when writing a hook, you need to make sure that every single sentence reels the viewer in to want to listen to the next sentence. Any sentence that does not flow well or feels like it directly holds the viewer's attention span needs to be cut out of the script. If you're still lost on hook ideas, here's some of the top hooks I've seen perform on YouTube that might work for you. Are you having trouble with tricky point? Example, are you having trouble finding work-life balance? What if I told you that there is an easy way to, and then the desired result? Example, what if I told you that there is an easy way to make $10,000 a month in under 30 minutes a day? Why is no one talking about, and then in connection with your business or niche? Example, why is no one talking about the mental health effects of yoga? And so much more. And I'll have a link in the description of this video if you want a full PDF of all of these hooks. The third part to the formula of creating a killer YouTube script that blows up your business is creating a killer meat. And no, I don't mean literally like meat like a cheeseburger. I mean meat as in the main part or body of your script. This is where you provide all of the valuable tips or tricks or commentary of your video in this section. The best YouTubers know how to create a structure within their script's body. When you read a book, there's a section called a table of contents. This lays out all the different chapters of a book in an organized way from chapter 1 to chapter 10. If you attempted to read chapter 3 and then chapter 1 right after, the book would not make sense. You need chapter 1 to be read first and then chapter 2, and then finally chapter 3 for the book content to finally make sense. All of the chapters work together in a sequence to fully convey the message of the book. This is how you should look at your script's body. You need to create chapter subheaders that flow together. Another way to have structure in your scripts is leveraging the hero's journey. The hero's journey is an old method of telling stories in scripts. And if you want to stand out of the crowd on YouTube of all these other gurus and people out there, you need to learn how to storytell. The best teachers and entertainers use stories to fully illustrate their lesson. The method they typically use is the hero's journey. The hero journey starts with the protagonist, which is typically the main character of the story. For this illustration, I'm going to tell a story for a video titled How to Make Your First $10,000 as a Student. The protagonist is going to be me, as I'll be telling my personal story. So in the first step of the hero's journey, you need to establish the main character's environment. For me, at age 16, I was a student and I was broke. This sets up the next step of the hero's journey, which is the need, also known as the pain point in the story. For me, at age 16, I was struggling to figure out how to make money online because I was working a dead-end fast food job for $8 an hour. My pain point and need in this situation is money and feeling lost. This sets up the story for the third part, which is meeting a mentor or finding information that changes everything. In my personal story, I met a YouTube mentor who gained 1 million subscribers in just 90 days. I took a chance and I donated my last $200 of my last earned money in order to get his attention. With that, he hopped into a phone call with me and I asked him to mentor me to make YouTube a full-time living, and in exchange, I was willing to edit his videos for free. The mentor gave me the opportunity, which leads to our next part of the story, which is the fourth stage of the hero's journey, trials and failure. A great story tells you deeply about the trial and error it took to finally achieve success. If my personal story simply ended with me finding a mentor and it was all sunshine and rainbows after I made millions of dollars, the story just wouldn't be good. Instead, my real story followed a sequence of events where day after day I was working 12 hours a day to edit videos for this YouTuber, and I even dropped out of high school to just have a chance at this YouTube thing becoming like a full-time career for me. Through months and months of hard work, I still wasn't successful. I could see small wins along the journey, but I kept failing and I always had doubts if it would ever actually work out for me. Not only that, but everyone around me told me that I wasn't going to be successful. So by having your story that you tell, or the illustration you tell people in your scripts, you need to hit hard on this fourth part of the hero's journey, because this is the part that will relate the most to the viewer that is watching you. This is where you can hit on 10 different pain points that you want to go through, and it only takes just one of them to relate to the viewer and grab their attention to listen through the entire story. Because the goal with your YouTube video is to create emotion, not just spit fat. Most people are not logical, most people are more emotional based. So if you can make someone feel something, your script will just stand out 10 times more. An example of the 10 different pain points in my story was how I kept failing and working for months and months without true success. Also, how I was told I would fail, how I doubted my success myself. These are pain points which will relate to the students that I'm trying to speak to in my video titled How to Make Your First $10,000 as a Student. The fifth stage of the hero's journey is growth and new skills. This part of the story is where you show off how all of those trials and failures led to learning new things that made you stronger and made you better. Then comes the sixth stage, which is the death and rebirth stage. This is where the main character in the story goes from being lost, broken down person to becoming the hero. For example, with my story, after months of hard work, I stumbled upon a secret production strategy that I used in my videos, which overnight blew up my first video to over 1 million views. This then leads us to the 7th through 11th stages of the hero's journey, which is once I found success with one video, I applied it to all of my videos and every single one of them started to go viral. Finally, I was able to make money full-time from YouTube, and eventually I moved out of my parents' house, got a penthouse, met famous YouTubers, became friends with them, made millions of dollars, traveled the world with my fiance, and so much more. All because of that one tactic that led me to more discoveries and successes. And so this is where, if you are doing an educational video, you'd use this story to then transition into telling your audience the secret formula that you use to get success and how they can do it themselves. And that's how you tell a story using the hero's journey framework. But this framework alone isn't enough. Another important piece to creating a killer script me is using subheader hooks and transitions. You know how I previously mentioned that in a book, you need to read all of the chapters in a sequence in order for all of it to make sense, right? Well, subheader hooks and transitions add cliffhangers to every single end of the chapter so that it causes you to need to watch the next chapter. So remember how in TV shows, they end off a season always with like a cliffhanger that makes you want to watch the next season when it finally gets released the following year. That's what I mean by a cliffhanger. Every single end of your subheader needs to have one. Let's use Iman Gadzhi as an example. In his video titled 7 AI Tools That Will Make You Rich, he ends off a subheader by transitioning from the previous subheader conversation without you even noticing it. Watch this.
And that eventually led to our current reality where short form content is king. Now there's multiple ways to go about short form. And I would know because over the last year, I've had 20 full-time editors, full-time, strictly doing short form content for me. Now, obviously that's super expensive. We have a full department for it. We have a department lead, and it's simply not an option for most people. And that's where tools like Opus Clip become extremely useful.
Did you notice it? While he was still on point number 1, he ended point number 1 with a couple sentences that would set up point number 2 without you even realizing it. He hit you with a pain point, which was how to create a ton of short form content without a team or a big budget. And he transitioned into point number 2, which was the solution using the AI tool Opus Clip. This keeps people listening to your video and not ever clicking off the video. Now, when you write a script, most will visualize a script as simply just a Word document. But the best script writers, they don't just write word for word scripts. They visualize what the editor will display on the video later as B-roll. B-roll is overlaid footage or elements that you display on screen while the narrator is speaking. When I'm writing my scripts, I purposefully add blue text highlight with B-roll notes on what I want my editor to display in that particular moment of the script. I then try to film ahead of time all of the B-roll content or find images I need to put into a Google Drive for my editor to use later on. This secret hack will keep your retention high because the alternative would be that people are forced to watch your face the entire video with no visuals. Most people are going to get bored and click off of that. By having B-roll that appears every 20 to 30 seconds, you can keep the viewer engaged as there's always something on the screen changing. And the best way to do this is to script out what B-roll you need ahead of time before you even film. The fourth part of the 5-part formula to creating a killer YouTube script that blows up your business is a killer outro. An outro is the very end of your video, typically the last 10 to 20 seconds. So in 2019, I met up with Ryan Trahan and Mr. Beast. Ryan Trahan pulled me aside and wanted me to look over his YouTube analytics. So an hour later, I crammed into his hotel room with like 6 other YouTubers as they all stared me down, looking at me as I overlooked at Ryan's video data. Now, what I found though was shocking. Almost every single time Ryan hit the last minute mark of his videos, I noticed a massive drop off in his retention. Something was happening that made people want to click off the video too soon. And what I found when diving deeper is that right before everyone drops off, Ryan always said the following words. So that's where I'll end it off, guys. These words are like a death sentence to your video's outro. Because by Ryan saying that, everyone assumed that the video was ending, so they clicked off, not realizing that there is still another minute left of his video. And this negatively affected Ryan's video performance. This is where every YouTuber goes wrong. They always use language that tells the viewer the video is ending. Language like, so in conclusion, or thanks for watching. Any of this will cause people to drop off. The goal with a killer outro that keeps people's attention spans is simple. Don't tell them the video is ending. What the YouTube pros do is they end the video off abruptly, or at least the last 5 seconds. They use a thing called an end screen, where they try to get people to click to watch another video of theirs. Some of them mention to click on that video end screen, but others sometimes don't even mention it at all, and they just pop it on at the end of the video. Look at how Ryan Trahan does it today.
Why would they do it? Maybe I don't even want a luxury car. Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to keep driving.
Now, look at how others do it when they verbally sign off, like Ali Abdaal.
Video about how to guarantee that you'll regret your life, which is a video.
You see how Ali Abdaal recommended a video to watch that works well off the current video that you are currently watching. This keeps the viewers in a loop, binge watching all of your content, which makes YouTube promote you even more. Now, the technical term for what Ali Abdaal is doing is called a CTA, also known as call to action. There's many different forms of a call to action. A couple of the main ones being asking people to watch another video, subscribing or promoting your product at the end of the video. Now, I personally don't recommend asking people to subscribe at the end of the video. If people find your videos valuable, they'll just naturally subscribe or like your video. You don't really have to ask for it. Your outro needs to have the most important call to action at the end, and you should only have one call to action at the end of the video. Any more causes viewers to overthink and not even take action on anything. If you're going to promote your product at the end of the video, here's some takeaways that I have about that. I typically don't recommend promoting your product at the end of the video unless it's a long video above 30 minutes, because naturally if people want to work with you on consulting services or some random product that you have, what ends up happening is they'll naturally find those products either in the YouTube description or what have you, because almost every YouTuber today sells something and everyone knows that. One of the issues with promoting a link at the end of your video is it ruins the binge loop cycle that I mentioned previously and causes people to click off the platform. Sometimes YouTube looks at that as a negative thing, because after all, YouTube is a business, and as a business, they benefit if they can keep people on their platform for as long as possible. And so the highest form of a CTA for YouTube is getting people to watch another video of yours via the end screen. The fifth piece to our 5-part formula to making a killer YouTube script is a killer testing checklist. When you are done writing your script, you need to run through this 5-part checklist to ensure your script is ready to film. The fifth grader check is where you send your script to ChatGPT and ask it to reword your script so that a 5th grader can understand it. The reason why this is important is because the average person only understands at a 5th grade reading level. So if you ever use big words or make things more complex than they need to be, then you'll lose a lot of viewers because they can't keep up on the verbiage. Next is the verbal check. This is when you read your script out loud if you are already filming. Sometimes when we read a word for word document in our head, it sounds good, but then we say it out loud and we notice it just doesn't flow well. This helps us because now we can improve our script based on that, which this one then leads us to the next check, which is the flow check. Make sure your script that there's a logical flow throughout each sentence where it works well off of each other and transitions smoothly. The fourth is the resting check. This is where you take a break from writing for about a day or so. Go on a walk, think about other things, and then when you come back, you can reread the script and see if there's more things that you could add that would make the script better, or things that you want to remove that you feel is repetitive. The next is the human check. This is when you send it to a trusted friend, or preferably, if you can, find someone who's credible, who understands YouTube, to review your script and tell you what they think you could do better on. On YouTube, you have 3 options when filming videos for your channel. You have the first option, which is building a personal brand. This method is the traditional way of doing YouTube, putting your face as the CEO on camera like I'm doing right now. Now, this takes lots of practice and time to get to the point where you feel comfortable doing this, and it's not for everyone. Yes, it's the way to build a legitimate brand for yourself and build the deepest connection with your audience, but again, it's not meant for everyone. There's a second option, however, which many of my clients love, which is the faceless method. This is where you never have to have a person's face shown on the YouTube videos, yet you hire a voice actor to talk about various topics you want covered on your YouTube channel for you. You can hire freelancers from websites like Upwork.com to do the work for you for less than $100 a video. An example of someone doing this right now is Magnates Media. Now, Magnates Media does videos at a higher quality level that might cost you $1,000 a video, but the fundamental rule still applies and works for cheaper budget. Now, he hires scriptwriters, narrators, and video editors to make the content for him. He then uses stock footage and YouTube clips for his background of the content, showing visuals of what the narrator is talking about. My clients and I use this formula to scale to millions of dollars in less than 2 hours a day. However, there is one caveat to this method. You never build a deep connection to your audience online to get them to convert into massive high-ticket sales for your business, and you are reliant on other people's footage in order to make the content. But that's why there is a third option, and this new method is very untapped. It's the face and faceless method. This method is where you hire an influencer to become the face of your brand, almost like a Jake from State Farm, to make video content for your company to then bring those views into paying customers, or simply just to monetize with ad revenue. This not only allows you to remain as the CEO behind the scenes, not having to work as hard, but it also allows you to scale to higher revenue numbers because there's a real person that your YouTube audience can connect with. A perfect example of someone doing this right now is a YouTube channel called Mr. Money. There's 3 face talents that make videos around how to make make money online on this YouTube channel. However, the real owner of this YouTube channel is not those 3 people. It's someone anonymous behind the scenes. And that person behind the scenes is paying those 3 people to be the face of his brand. He then uses this YouTube channel to promote his and other people's products. This allows you to scale as an entrepreneur on YouTube without ever having to be on the camera yourself and in under 2 hours a day. My clients and I use all 3 of these methods and it has made us millions of dollars. If you're interested in learning more on how to implement this into your business, book a call with me with the link below in the description to work with my team and I. Now, this piece of the video, I'm going to show you how to film your videos if you are a personal brand and what equipment I recommend when doing so. Now, at the very beginning, I recommend you just start with a low budget equipment. You don't want to scale to have the crazy, $5,000 camera. You don't need that until your YouTube channel is very, very successful. You can be very successful with YouTube with literally just $200 budget. So you can use your iPhone or your phone to film your content. Nowadays, the phones that we have are equal to the quality of a $3,000 camera. And then for the microphone, I recommend a wireless microphone like a Rode Go mic or a Sarasonic mic, which will maybe be about $130. Then you have to buy a tripod for your iPhone, which will only be about maybe $20. Finally, I recommend you get a ring light, which is about $50. Now, this is insanely important to have it, and I can't overstate it enough. This is the camera quality with good lighting, and this is the camera quality without any lighting at all. It's a big difference, and you can have an amazing camera, but if the lighting in the room is bad, it won't look good. When setting up lighting, I recommend to film in a room that has no natural light so you can control it better. Do this with blackout curtains for the room. And then with the ring light, you want to place it at an angle so then that way it gives that good shadow cinematic look. Finally, if you can, I recommend you buy a $30 light stand to put in the background so it shows some type of depth in the video. It's that simple to have cinematic looking video quality. Then for the software, I typically use a teleprompter app in the App Store to put my script into, and I can read it word for word on my iPhone. Or for some of you, you can just do bullet point scripts and you can have it as notes for yourself to scroll through as you talk to the camera. When it comes down to framing, try to only have a little bit of spacing from the top of your head and have yourself as much as you can at the center of the frame. If you are too close to the camera, it can cause people to feel uncomfortable. If you have yourself too far away from the camera, it can make people feel disconnected from you. Balance is key with filming and coming across the right way. I also recommend not speaking in monotone. As you talk, make sure you emphasize certain words based on the emotion you need to show. If you speak at the same voice level the entire video, people will get bored and click off. All right, so in this video, I wanted to show you different editing styles that you can try out for your videos because YouTube is complex. There's so many different types of ways you can edit your videos, and depending on the way you want to edit your video, it can be advanced or it can be very simple. And so in this video, I'm going to show you different styles that are currently working that you can do for yourself, and you can figure out what your editing theme is going to be when you make content. So every niche is going to be different. I'm going to break this down into different categories. I'm going to call one of them beginner, medium level, and advanced. I'm going to show you different videos, 3 different videos. This is what I would consider is a beginner level video. There's a lot of these videos that exist right now on YouTube that are starting to really blow up. This specific guy, Neuro Knowledge, he blew up to over 150,000 subscribers in just 30 days doing this simple editing style. If we just scroll through this entire video, you can see that there isn't really any editing at all in this. It's just him on a whiteboard showing examples, random words that he'll put on it, talking about various topics regarding manifestation, which is his niche. And that's pretty much the entire video, is just him talking. Now the question is, okay, well, how did this perform if there's not really any editing in this video? How did it work out? Well, the reason why it performed is because the stuff that he has to say, the things coming out of his mouth, is very intelligent and really well put together, really well thought out. And so with YouTube today, it's not necessarily about how good is your edit. That doesn't matter as much as how good is the actual things coming out of your mouth. And so when you think about priorities, most of the priorities needs to go into the video idea, thumbnail, and script. That's where a majority of your energy should be going into. Editing, I would say, is like second to all of that. If you can just see here, clearly it works. Very simple, just him talking, okay? So that's beginner level. Anyone could do this. They can get a whiteboard. It doesn't work for every niche, but for a lot of niches, you can easily get a whiteboard, break down what you're doing. That works. Or I've seen other people where they'll just be doing a video where they just talk straight to the camera and they don't have anything at all, not even a whiteboard sometimes. And they just have like a little vlog that they're just talking to the camera. That also can work. So that's the first one, that's beginner level if you're just starting out. So this is the next girl I want to show you. So this is Vanessa. So Vanessa made this video and I want to show you kind of the edits. It starts more right about, let me see, about probably here is where it starts. So let's just start it about...
Last year, I decided to leave social media and go ghost mode. I put up this announcement to my followers, letting them know that I was taking an indefinite break. I had no idea when I was coming back. I had really tough conversations with my clients and also my team members, and I ultimately decided to dissolve my business. Now, that was over a year ago and it's crazy.
So I want you to pay attention to the way she's doing her editing. If you notice, she used a little bit of background footage. We call it B-roll. So if you don't know what this is called, let me see if I can find the perfect frame. This right here. We call this B-roll. This means footage that you use to display over person that's talking, overlay footage, I guess you could say. So that's considered B-roll. And so this is a bunch of B-roll that she's playing of like different vertical, iPhone videos maybe that she's filmed, of little vlogs or moments that she's been doing throughout the year of her hiatus, right? That her break from business. And so you can see that she's using it to articulate a story really, really well. Because imagine you're just staring at her face all day long, and that's 40 minutes is how long this video is. Imagine you watch someone for 40 minutes and they don't have any footage or any visualization or images that make you really understand what's happening. Well, you're more likely to get bored and click off, and we don't want that. And so this is the medium level editing. This is a very simple edit to add a little bit of footage overlaid while you're speaking to the camera.
Go ghost mode. I put up this announcement to my followers, letting them know that I was taking an indefinite break. I had no idea when I was coming back. I had really tough conversations.
Then you notice something that they're doing a zoom in. So pay attention to her face, and watch as the editor zoomed in really slowly into her.
With my clients and also my team members, and I ultimately decided to dissolve my business. Now, that was...
It's so simple, so simple. Little zoom ins like that is a huge thing.
It was over a year ago, and it's crazy to think about, not just because I did it, but because I did it pretty much at the height of my career. I had 500,000 subscribers.
And then this is another B-roll footage of, zooming in on her YouTube channel, right? Showing off her subscribers.
On YouTube, 250,000 followers.
The same thing for Instagram.
On Instagram, a multiple 7-figure online course business. I was finally speaking on stages. I was also...
You see, all of this is B-roll, right? Now, I know that for a beginner editor, this sounds like a lot of work, but it's not that much work. It's medium level work, right? You're just trying to find a lot of footage, do zoom ins on that footage, and then overlay it while you're talking to describe what you're, whatever analogy you're trying to explain. So this is what I would consider medium level. It's not crazy, no animations, no crazy text anywhere. It's very simple, medium level skill to get to this point. This is performing really well on YouTube right now. The next one we want to talk about is advanced level. So advanced level is going to look like this.
A video you could make that would blow up your business and your channel. Would you try it? Well, sadly, there is, and I hate YouTube for this, but right now it seems it's really pushing long videos, so much so that businesses...
Do you see how he did the editing? First, the text feels like a 3D text. It's zooming into the O. Then you have all of these little, different video suggestions popping up with a cool little pop-up effect, right? That's a little bit more advanced stuff. And if we go a little bit more into his video, let's just do around here. Let me show you this.
On YouTube in front of a potential viewer. To increase your score, all you need to do is create viewer satisfaction. But how do you do that? Well, this score is made up of different metrics. If you get lots of clicks, that's telling YouTube, okay, a lot of people are interested in this topic, we'll score it a bit higher. Then if people hit like or comment or share or subscribe, you can get even more points. And then we have the metric watch time. Basically, if people spend a long time watching, it's probably a sign that the content is quality, so they can pile on even more points.
So do you see how much animation that goes into this one, right? So this editing style is very, very advanced. Most people are not going to be able to edit this. You're probably going to have to hire someone to do this editing, which I'll talk about later. You're going to probably have to hire someone to do this editing style for you. It's not very easy. And so now I want to talk about one last thing, and then I'll tie all of this together. There's a thing called beastification gentrification that's happening right now on YouTube. If you don't know what that means, there's a YouTuber, one of the biggest YouTubers now on YouTube, called Mr. Beast, who has 300 million subscribers. Beastification means that you're trying to edit your videos like Beast. And by the way, that's not a good thing. Let me show you what Beast videos looks like.
I put 100 people inside of a giant circle, and whoever leaves the circle last wins $500,000. But if you touch the red line, it's game over.
Look, 10 seconds in, did you notice how much is happening? Zoom in, effect, sound effects, everything is, so much is happening that your brain is just trying to process it. Like sometimes your brain can't even process that much information in such a short period of time. Mr. Beast has tried to do that because of viewer retention, right? He's trying to keep people engaged. He wants to make it entertaining. And at a certain point, 2 years ago, this was really a good idea. But today, as I'm filming this in 2024, we're seeing a shift right now. There is a shift where this type of content does not perform as well as it once did. The type of content that performs really well is usually the medium level content. This is the medium level content, right? The Vanessa girl, or the beginner level content, this guy, right? Nero. That's what's performing right now on YouTube because people are so tired of the very advanced level stuff. You can see he put a lot of energy into this video, but he only got 30,000 views, which isn't a lot for this niche. You can see that like this type of editing is not always something that people want to see, and because it can sometimes be overwhelming. When you're editing videos, just keep that in mind that these two different styles might be actually the ones that are trending right now. And I see a shift where people are starting to go to this style because it's easier to consume, it's slower pace, and it doesn't really get up in your face and doesn't overwhelm you, right, as a viewer. Now there's one thing I will add to it though. There is a caveat, which is that I always recommend at the end of the day, above my advice in this video, you need to prioritize figuring out what is the editing style that your specific niche is going with, because everyone's niche is different. If majority of the content in your niche is a little bit more advanced styling of editing, then you may have to do advanced styling of editing to be able to compete. Or if you're seeing a shift where your niche is mainly medium level editing, then do medium level. Or if you see that they're beginner, then do beginner. It's all based and relative on your niche. Everyone has a different niche, who has a different type of viewer, who likes a different type of editing. And so at the end of the day, these are just the different types of editing, but you need to figure out which one your niche is doing and try to emulate that. Now let's talk about how you can find different B-roll and content. So there's this website called Pexels. I'll put the link in the description, but Pexels is where you can find stock footage if you want to use it. This personally, stock footage is okay, but I try to keep stock footage at a minimal. If you're trying to find overlay content for your video, don't try to overly use stock footage. It's kind of cringy, it's kind of weird, but if you have to, you can sometimes use it. The other website I recommend is clip.cafe. I actually prefer this website over the stock footage website because clip.cafe allows you to search any movie and you can actually get clips from that movie. Now, legally, you can only use about 10, maybe 15 seconds of clips, but that's what they do. If you look, most of these clips are like 10 seconds, 30 seconds. You can use like up to maybe, I would say 10 to 15 seconds max to be safe per clip, but you can use these clips and everything as almost the background overlay that you want to use if it helps illustrate a story. So an example being, let's say I make a video about how to make money online. Well, everyone knows who's trying to make money in general. Everyone knows the movie Wolf of Wall Street. It's a guy who, made a lot of money with stock trading, and it's a whole story, right? So anyone who's in this world of making money online, they know the story, him playing with money, right? Like this clip right here would be a good clip once in a while to have overlaid on my video if I'm talking about how to make money. Clearly, this is a famous movie. Everyone kind of recognizes this character, right? And it's him playing with money. So it fits the narrative of maybe my video about how to make money online. And so people typically love this type of content a whole lot more than the boring stock footage that you see all the time that's kind of cringy and feels so fake, right? So I love clip.cafe. I think it's one of the better websites out there for B-roll. Now, another way to get B-roll content, and this is the most important, and I feel like the way you should be doing it, is film the B-roll content yourself. So if you look back at the Vanessa video that I showed you, she was showing those vertical, Instagram videos of her maybe in the gym or her on a little, vacation trip. That's her footage that she used to illustrate a point, right, in her video. And so what I recommend doing is when you're done filming a video, you just rewatch that video before you edit it. And you ask the question, okay, what did I talk about? And what is some of the B-roll content I need to film before I send it to my editor or I edit it myself? Maybe in the video, you talked about how you were working really hard and studying studying and researching a certain topic on your computer. Well, then show B-roll footage of you sitting down and working on your computer as like a quick time lapse, right? That's B-roll footage that you can later overlay in your video. My point is, you want to be thinking about as much B-roll footage as you possibly can get, because then your video just comes to life versus just watching someone who's just talking with no B-roll footage. Okay, so now let's talk about programs you can use to edit your content. If you're editing the videos yourself, I personally use CapCut. I prefer CapCut now. They're more advanced with a lot of their technology. So that's the program I recommend. There's a lot of tutorials about how to use CapCut online. I'm not like a professional editor. Most of my content, I just outsource now to hire other editors to do it for me. So if you're trying to, if you don't have the money or resources to hire an editor right now, that's okay. Just leverage CapCut in general, and then watch a bunch of tutorials online of how to master that program. Now, if you're someone that has a budget as in maybe $50 to $150 per video, if that's your budget that you're willing to spend, then hiring an editor might make more sense, because time is money at the end of the day. You want to have as much free time as you possibly can. And so there's different websites. You can go to Upwork.com or a bunch of other freelance websites to hire editors on there who will do the entire video for you on editing. Now, I'm going to have a separate tutorial later that's coming soon if it's not already on this platform that you're watching right now. So you can watch that tutorial where I show you how to hire an editor on these platforms. But personally, that's what I recommend doing. Even if you're an editor right now and you don't have the money yet, start with editing the content yourself, and then with enough time, make some money, use that money as fast as you can to hire an editor. Because sometimes editing a piece of content might take 3, maybe 5 hours, and that's a lot of time. And so I highly recommend you, as soon as you can, delegate it to someone else online. The funnel I'm about to teach you made me $3 million in 1 year for my consulting firm in under 4 hours a week of content creation, and collectively made me over $9 million in revenue. You can see here, I was just $40,000 shy of $3 million in the year of 2023 with the funnel that I'm about to show you. Now, this is the same funnel that also got me qualified buyers who threw $30,000 wires at me every few days. So let me show you this. You can see the proof here. This is all the proof. This is even how much in one of my checking accounts that I had at the time, $423,000 in that checking account. And people would send me wires from $18,000 to $28,000 to $25,000, $30,000. You get it. This was happening on an every few day basis. So I know what I'm talking about. What I'm about to show you does work. Here's the thing. There's a reason why you're not getting good return on paid ads or consistent sales in today's marketing world. A lot of people are trying so hard to grow right now, but they can't figure out how to get more consistent leads, whether it be through organic or paid ads. And there's a reason why, because if you think about it, everyone is being bombarded with a million different ads and organic content trying to sell their services. And the more and more this happens, people are feeling like they can't trust anybody anymore because it's just too much, too many people. And so this is the old way of doing marketing, and this is what everyone's doing. And if you follow the crowd, you're going to end up getting the same result as the crowd. It's pretty much what ends up happening is if you follow the crowd. And so you can see here, this is the old way of doing marketing. Normally I see people do 2 different methods. They either do paid ads or they decide to do organic content. They pick one or the other. You'll see on this side right here, we have organic method. So the organic method is where you're kind of reliant on the third-party algorithms like YouTube or Facebook or whatever to favor you, and eventually you gain momentum. And that takes a lot of content, a lot of work, and a lot of skill. It's not something that you will get returns on in 8 months. It could take 12 months before you start seeing some returns from this method. And even then, it's not consistent long-term because it requires virality. If you don't get consistent views, then you're not going to get consistent leads if you do organic alone. Now, the idea with the organic funnel is that people want to have people watch their content. Like if you make a YouTube video and you grow, people will watch your content. And then what ends up happening is then they go into a thing called a VSL page after watching your content. And I'll break that down in a second. But then you have the people in the second section, which is the people who are doing paid ads. These people only believe in paid ads. They're running Facebook ads to get more traction, or Instagram or YouTube or whatever it is. They're running paid ads to try to gain momentum. And what will end up happening with this is that they'll then send those people, cold people, strangers, they'll send strangers to a VSL page. Now, what a VSL page is pretty much, I'll show like a photo of it, but pretty much it's a page with a simple video on it trying to sell someone on their product. It's a very, very simple concept. It's a video sales letter page. And this is what people will do. They'll constantly send people straight to just a VSL page. And through that VSL page, they try to get people to book a sales call or just straight to checkout page on buying a product that they have. Okay. Now, this is the problem. This is the old way of doing marketing. This is what everyone's doing. And this is not smart, because this produces unqualified and expensive leads that takes 20 of them to maybe even close one sale. Sometimes it takes way more than 20 people to go through this funnel to close a sale. Okay. And it's very expensive, to get these people to buy a product from you. And the reason why these people are unqualified is because you aren't the first person they've opted into for the day. They put their personal information to multiple people's ads throughout the day, and they barely know you. So the question is, why would a stranger send you $5,000 if you ask them to and they just met you? That doesn't make sense. Why would that happen? It doesn't work. Yet every single marketer I see in today's world is they're teaching you to go about business in this way, to go about marketing in this way, is just put a VSL page in front of strangers and say, hey, buy or book a call to buy my product. You're not going to get sales that way, or at least consistent sales for a good cost. So here's what this does to your company. You end up needing more salespeople to handle the volume of unqualified leads. And if it's hard to close these leads, the sales team's morale goes down, making them burn out and leave you. Personally, I've gone through this myself, and it's a nightmare. Okay. You have to increase the volume of leads to actually make a sale. Let's say it takes 40 different booked calls to get one person to actually close and buy your $5,000 product. And so that means you need more salespeople, more bodies to take care of all of these people on the phone call. And so what this does, though, is it creates a repetitive machine of you having to hire new salespeople, dragging your attention away from marketing and taking care of your customers, which only makes you burn out and equals a bankrupt business. This is why it's not good to follow the old strategy that everyone teaches. But the good news is there's a new way, and the new way is called the creator growth funnel. So let's look at Mr. Beast with the Feastable brand, or Logan Paul with Prime, or Kylie Jenner with Kylie Cosmetics. They're almost $1 billion valuation of companies and brands almost overnight. And the question is why? And I'll give you a hint. They didn't run Facebook ads to get only a 3x return on ad spend. That's not how they became so successful. What they did is they implemented the creator growth funnel. So here's the new way to do it. So like I said, the problem where most people go wrong in today's marketing world is they pick one or the other, paid ads or organic. The secret is doing both. That's the first step. And so you want to have, for example, Instagram or YouTube, and you want to make a lot of content and have people be warmed up and nurtured to who you are and what you do for them. And so you create organic content on YouTube, for example. That's what I mainly special in. And then what you can do is then you run paid ads, and you, instead of taking people to a VSL page, you run paid ads, taking them to your YouTube channel so they can consume your content and better get to know you without having to commit to a website and putting their personal information in. And what this will do is after they see your content, after a certain amount of time, maybe it takes 2 weeks, maybe a month of seeing your content, after they watch your content on both sides from organic or paid ads, what ends up happening is then you take them to a VSL video on your YouTube channel. And a VSL on your YouTube channel, this could be multiple videos. What I mean is you upload a lot of videos where you're pretty much teaching people, but at the very end of the video, you're pretty much selling them on your service of what you can do for them. Okay. And you do that you make multiple videos doing this on YouTube. And so what ends up happening is people naturally are already watching your content. And then once in a while, you have this little sales video that hits them and they watch it and they're like, you know what, this is interesting. And then they go to the next page where they actually click on a link in the description of your video on YouTube, and they click on an application page. That application page, they will then fill out their personal information, and then you'll redirect them to a page where pretty much they can book a sales call or they can purchase a product outright. Now, the secret where everyone goes wrong is you want to be following up with these prospects. So people drop off usually after that application page. Okay. So after they give you your personal information, they sometimes don't book a call or they don't buy your product immediately. That's okay. What you want to do is you want to then try to reach out to them via text message or email and try to follow up with them and get to know them better to guide them and pretty much make the sale. Okay. That's the big secret where a lot of people miss on this game of marketing. So what does this do long term? It nurtures them so they become qualified prospects without wasting your time and creates high close rates. And the show up rate for all these calls skyrockets because why would someone leave a friend on red? If they feel like they trust you, they know you, and at that point, they kind of feel bad if they don't show up to the call. because they don't want to disappoint you and they're someone that they trust and they look up to. Now, to create a funnel like this, you want to use a tool called Go High Level. Go High Level lets you create landing pages, manage contacts, email your list, send your list text messages. You can even book calls with Go High Level and call your customers via their own app. So everything you can do in Go High Level besides maybe fulfillment. Now, let's dive deeper into how this funnel works and how you can implement it. Okay, so the first part is the application page. Let's talk about that part of the funnel. When people go to your application page and they fill out all their personal information, here's some of the questions that you want to have on that application page. So the first question you want to have is, what's your current income monthly? So I usually put below $2,000, $2,000 to $10,000, $10,000 to $50,000, and then $50,000 above. Those are the answers that I put on that application question. Now, here's what happens. If they say that they have a budget under $2,000, you want to send them straight to a different website page. And it's pretty much a product checkout page for a low ticket service, something that is very cheap, maybe $27, $97 max, right? You just redirect them to something like that instead of allowing them to book a call. Because the truth is, if they have an income level of below $2,000, it's not worth taking a sales call. That's too much manual labor. It's better if you just send them straight to another product that you have at that point. Now, if they end up saying that they have above $2,000, that means they're a little bit more qualified. They have more income that they can leverage to buy maybe a higher ticket service that you have, where you can help them a whole lot more. In that situation, you then send them to book a call for a high ticket sale. Okay. So you get them on a phone call. I know this is a lot of work for some people, but trust me, if you want to make the real money is in high ticket sales, and high ticket sales requires you to get on a phone call with people. And at the very beginning, you're going to have to do this yourself, but then later you can hire a sales team to help you do it for you. After that, the other question you want to have is, how familiar are you on what I do for my clients? You want to have that question. Okay. This is a good gauge for us to know how nurtured and understanding they are of who we are, because here's what ends up happening. If they answer saying they're very familiar, like they really know who we are and who we serve and our products and stuff like that, then what ends up happening is that means that they're a solid lead and they're ready to close. Like the moment you get on a phone call with them, they're probably going to be a little bit easier to close on the sales call. But then on the flip side, if they say, I don't know anything yet, if they say that, then what ends up happening is that means that they are not qualified yet. And you need to send them a lot more free material to warm them up, to get them educated, or you need to downsell them to that low ticket product I talked about. Because again, we don't want to waste our time on sales calls with someone that just doesn't know our product yet. And they're more likely not to buy if they don't know who we are or what our product is. Okay, so now let's talk about if they do book a call. All right, they just booked a call and they're waiting for their appointment and scheduled date. Here's the follow-up sequence I have for that. So the first thing you want to do is, I know this sounds crazy, but trust me, it works. You want to be sending them like 3 follow-up emails automatically every single day leading up to the sales call with the client. Okay. In those emails, you want to be educating them about what you do and everything, testimonials, like proof that it works, objection handling, like ask the question, what is probably the common questions I'm going to get on the sales call of why people don't want to pull the trigger and work with me? Maybe it's like, hey, how long before I get results? Okay, make an email dedicated to talking about that topic for them before the sales call. Where I see everybody go wrong is the emails that they send after someone books a call is the most basic emails, where it's like, hey, your call is coming up in 24 hours. Hey, your call is coming up in 3 hours. Hey, you're like, who cares? That's selfish and that doesn't help anybody at all. And so it should be education emails mainly and testimonials. That's what it should be in those emails. The only time I do notify emails, which is what I just said, the only time I do notify emails about when the scheduled appointment is the day of, because sometimes people will literally book a call and then 10 minutes later, they forgot what date they set the book a call on. So I make sure I text them and I email them, hey, by the way, you booked a call for this date and this time. That's when I send it to them. The other time I send it is 24 hours before the call. I'll send it then, like a notice, and then 1 hour before the call. So this is the funnel I use. This is what made me a lot of money, because I'm telling you, this is going to get you the 20x return on ad spend that you want, that nobody else in your competitive space is going to be able to get, because they're not doing this. They're not taking the longer approach of nurturing and warming someone up first and then asking for a close. So you've just learned everything about how to grow your YouTube channel and blow up your business. But here's what is missing after this video. This is going to be so much information that it will take time for you to truly digest all of it and get success. And that's why I've created a mentorship program to help coach you personally one-on-one to help you achieve your goals. I'll personally audit your YouTube videos, tell you how to optimize it for sales and the highest earning potential and more. Or maybe you are too busy to implement all of these steps and you want my team to personally do it all for you. We also do that. So book a call with the link down below in the description and we can chat to see if we are a good fit to work together. See you over there, and thanks for watching.